Hey there guys, I wanted to talk to you today about some plants that I've picked up from Wildwoods World of Water. This is a fantastic shop in Enfield here in the UK. It's got a long-standing reputation and well-deserved for an incredible selection of fish, particularly slightly more unusual species that you'd struggle to find elsewhere. Really an Aladdin's cave of fishes. You go into there and you're just sort of blown away. They've also started to branch out into slightly more weird and wonderful plants. And I wanted to show you guys some of the ones that I've picked up today, which I'm going to be using in my Aquatic Habitats book. I wanted to share with you what we've got, and I think you'll be interested. So, first of all, Percicaria SV Sao Paulo. So this is a plant that used to be fairly easy to get here in the UK. Due to recent political changes, it's harder to get hold of. Most of the suppliers are based in the EU. They no longer ship to the UK. So a bit of a struggle. It doesn't look like much right now. It looks like Hygrophila stricta, perhaps one of the other Hygrophilas. Under good lighting and with CO2, the leaves on this will go beautiful pink to mauve, purplish shades. I've got some in one of the holding tanks, so I'll stick a little clip in here so you can see how this will colour up. It's a favourite among aquascapers, but it would also be biotope correct for many South American habitats. In the wild, you would normally see it growing along the verges of and the banks of waterways, often spilling into the water. It would be partially submerged during the wet season. However, you do sometimes see it growing completely submerged and in its sort of pink, beautiful form, particularly in high light, in some waterways where there's clear water. And I know in Oliver Lucanus's Amazon Underwater book, there is a fantastic photo of that. So this is a plant that you would put in your mid-ground, in the background of smaller tanks. It's very striking, very colourful, great for adding some colour to the aquascape. And I'm really excited to use this in some of our displays, some of our biotopes. So let's put it away for now. Right, what's up next? So this is one of my favourite plants of all time. This is Echinodorus Macrophyllus, and this is the real deal. This isn't Echinodorus radicans, which is sometimes said to be, Macrophyllus. This is the real deal. Has these amazing textured leaves. The ridges on the structure of the leaf, it's weird. It's quite nice to run your fingers over. So this looks like a pretty small plant right now. Sure, it grows over 3 feet tall. I've got quite a lot of experience of it in Brazil, particularly in the karst rivers around the town of Bonito in the Bodequeda highlands of Brazil, in Mato Grosso do Sul, where it grows in these crystal streams and the leaves get huge, this wide across, like so. And in highlight, you get these beautiful pink, reds, oranges in the leaves. Really stunning plant. I'm so excited to have it, and I'm looking forward to using it in some of the tanks. It's going to go into my big tank behind me, which is sort of my holding and experimentation tank. Give it plenty of room to grow. I've got 4 pots of this, so we'll see how it does. And yeah, I'm just so happy to get it. Again, previously you could get from suppliers on the continent. Now that's become much more difficult. So I'm really, really happy that Wildwoods have got it in. And actually Dan, who works at Wildwoods and is my sort of go-to man for plants, he messaged me and said, "Ty, by the way, I've got Echinodorus Macrophyllus in. I know you were after that." So thank you very much to Dan for sorting that. Because I went straight down there today with my friend Stephen Baker. He said, "Yep, let's drive for an hour and a half because I want these plants." And we picked up some other cool stuff on the way. So we'll plant those in. Key with Echinodorus, pretty much all Echinodorus, apart from medium lighting, CO2 helps, lots of nutrients around the roots. They are heavy root feeders. So I'm going to make sure that this selection gets root tabs so that they really have a good start. Right, another plant that's quite exciting. And I've got a fair bit of it today. This is just one sample. This is Helanthium angustifolia. And it's one of the narrow-leaved, quite tall Helianthums. So if you think of Helanthium bolivianum, or what's sometimes known as Helanthium tenellum, Echinodorus tenellus, this is a tall variety that can grow up to 40 centimeters long. It carpets, it puts out runners, as do the other species. It can fill a tank pretty quickly if given good nutrients in the roots. And it looks brilliant with fish such as angelfish, with the bands down the side that glide through these tall, beautiful stems. So I'm really pleased to get hold of this. Again, it's a plant that my friends on the continent, they say, "Oh yeah, we can get this all the time." Can you get it in the UK? Not easily. However, Wildwoods get it in, they get it in fairly regularly, so it's worth calling them up and asking them when they'll get some in. They can even post plants out to you if it's too far to drive, which is understandable for many people. So I'm looking forward to getting that one. It'll go in the tank behind me as well. I'm just going to let it run right. Hopefully it will fill out in time. They can struggle a little bit initially. They will benefit from CO2, but once they bed in, they can be quite hard to control. It puts out runners all the time. It will fill your tank. So I've got two more plants that I picked up today, and one of which I'm fairly sure I know because I think I've seen it in the wild, which is this Ludwigia helminfloriza. Now, I will have to check my aquatic plants of the Pantanal book, but I believe I've seen this in the Pantanal in Brazil, and you find it floating on the surface in wetlands and boggy areas, often alongside other floating plants such as Amazon frogbit, Limnobium levigatum, Salvina natans, Ludwigia sidoides. Under highlight, as in the tropical sun, which is how I've seen it, it can go beautiful orange, red, almost purple colours. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it's got these tiny little white sacs up here, these little nodes. Now they do look like something out of one of the Alien films. I may be entirely incorrect, but I think they're buoyancy aids to lift the plant up on the surface. So this kind of plant is excellent. Floating plants generally are excellent in your aquarium. They provide cover for fish to sit underneath. And because they've got access to CO2 above the surface, they grow pretty quickly. Then they've then got suspended roots that go down in the water column. They'll draw up nutrients. They're really good at helping to combat algae because they can deny nutrients to algae and they grow much faster because they have access to CO2 above the water. I've seen fish such as Aphiocarex anizitzi, the bloodfin tetra, and Pyrrolina australis along the edges of lakes in the Pantanal, living basically underneath beds of this or similar Ludwigia, and picking insects off the stems that land there or fall into the water. So if you can recreate that in the aquarium, that would be pretty cool. Throw in some fruit flies on the stems and watch your fish try and hunt them down. So I'm excited to use that. And the last one I picked up today, which I hadn't intended to get, but was very pleased because Dan pointed it out to me. He knows that one of the displays we're going to do is a Mexican display. And this is Heteranthera reniformis, sometimes known as the kidney-leaved bog plantain. It reminds me a little bit of our bog bean here in the UK. This is another sort of surface growing plant. It would grow along the muddy margins of lakes or rivers and then move out from the bank out into the water with these suspended aerial roots hanging down in the water column, bringing nutrients to it. Fish love to live under this kind of stuff. Again, really good at combating algae. Something different at the surface of the aquarium. And in the literature it said that this is found in North America and in Mexico. I was looking at some online herbaria catalogues for Mexico and it said that this is one of the plants that's found there. So I'm really pleased that we've got hold of this for our biotope. And I'm going to put it in one of the holding tanks in the garage and hopefully it'll take off and see how it does. We've got a bunch of that. And I have to thank Dan and Keith at Wildwoods. Keith is the owner. Dan's one of the guys who works there, who's been fantastic at calling me up and saying, "Ty, I think we've got some plants in that you'd be interested in." And when he told me about the Macrophyllus, like I said, I jumped in the car and went straight down there. This is a shop that, as I've mentioned, is really renowned for its fish selection, but they are looking, as Keith has told me, into really expanding their plant selection, particularly slightly more unusual, rarer, weird and wonderful plants, things that sadly we can no longer get from the EU via the original channels, but they've got suppliers where they can get them. So I would ring them up, particularly if there's something you're after, and say, do you think you have this? Could you look out for this for me? Can you order it for me? It'd be well worth doing. As I said, they will post plants to you. So if you're too far from Enfield to drive down, call them up, chat to Dan or one of the other guys and say, "Hey, can you post this to me? How much would postage be?" They can sort that out for you. If you are near enough to them, do go down. Might be worth calling them up and saying, "When is your next plant order coming in?" and going down on that day. Plants come in and they go out very quickly. They also have a selection of tropica plants, slightly more usual plants, as well as in vitro parts, and just going for the fish is fantastic. But if you're into your plants, go there. And if you're into your ponds, it's a fantastic site for ponds, particularly in the spring, in the summer. Go down there. They are koi specialists as well. It's a big shop and all the staff are dedicated, been there a long time, really know what they're doing. So go down, check it out. And I want to thank them for sorting me out with plants today for the book. I'm looking forward to seeing what else they get in. And I hope this has proved inspiring for you guys. Maybe start checking out some of these plant species. I'll put a little list of the names up so you can look into them further. It's worth looking in Crystal Castleman's aquarium plant books to find further information on this. And there were two other books I wanted to mention, which is Oliver Lucanus's Amazon Below Water, which is a fantastic book where you can see photos, for instance, of the Persicaria in its natural habitat, and also some of the Ludwigias. The other one is Fishes of the Orinoco by Ivan Nikolji, which is not so hot on perhaps the plants, but has some wonderful habitat photos, and you can get a sense of what sort of plants are growing in the Orinoco region of Venezuela. And I use those books to inform me about which plants I'll use in the biotopes for my aquarium book. So check those out, check out Wildwoods, and yeah, until next time, I guess. Take care, guys.